welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a design change on some full cover nails that I have. I wanted to switch up the polish and I did not want to waste the full cover nail tips. So I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick demonstration today of how I change over the polish or designs on my full cover nails. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're either going to want to set up a dust collector like I have here. If you don't have a dust collector, a regular like hand towel or like bath towel works really well to gather the dust as well. Then I'm just taking a ceramic bit in a fine to medium grit, and I am just using really light touches and quick passes along the surface of the gel polish just to remove it safely and a little bit at a time, because you don't want to dig into the full cover nail tip because then it will show through when you reapply your next design. So you want to use really light pressure. This goes for anything, whether it's removing gel polish from an already done set or if you're working on the natural nail plate. You don't want to use a lot of pressure. You want to let the tool work for you. You want to let the drill bit do all the work basically. So make sure that you also choose the right grit for, I don't know if it's correct to say grit when it comes to drill bits, but I don't know how else to say it. But you want to make sure that you choose the right roughness of bit and file for the job every time that you do something. You don't want to use like a coarse bit on the natural nail and be putting a whole bunch of pressure, because you're going to tear up your nail plate. Just like I didn't want to use a coarse bit on my full cover nail tips because I did not want to tear up the surface, as I was going to reuse them for the next design. And as you can see, I'm just doing really light passes. I'm just doing little bit by little bit. You don't want to go back and forth. You want to pass your drill bit along the surface of the nail where you're trying to remove the product, and then you want to pass back over it to go back up the nail and then touch it again. I don't know if that's really making any sense, but you don't want to have full contact while you're going back and forth. You only want the drill bit to connect to the nail when you're going forward in the direction that you want to remove the product. Going back and forth with a drill bit can cause unnecessary friction and can not only cause heat spikes, but you can also cause divots in the product or your natural nail that you don't want. And while it's easy to buff out, imperfections in acrylic or polygel or anything else like that, buffing out a divot you've caused in your natural nail is not as easy, as it can cause very painful areas and, damage to the natural nail plate. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind, when using anything, whether it's a file or a drill bit. And as you can see, I'm not really trying to get every teeny tiny little bit of the gel polish off. I just want to remove the majority of the bulk of the product, and I'm going to show you towards the end how I get those little spaces off. Once I'm done removing the bulk of the product, you just want to use the e-file to kind of remove like the majority of the surface. And here you can see that there's some discoloration on my drill bit. This is happening because I put too thick of a coat of gel polish down when I was doing the marble design. If you haven't seen my last video where I reviewed the Born Pretty spring polishes, please go ahead and check that out. I will leave it in the link in the description box down below, as well as the video for how I applied these full cover nail tips in the first place. But that discoloration on the drill bit is because the product was not able to fully cure because I put too thick of a layer and the UV light was not able to penetrate it. So when filing it off, you're going to see that type of discoloration because that's basically wet gel polish that didn't cure. That's all that is, and that can just be removed by cleaning it with a drill bit cleaner. So I'm just removing the rest of the bulk from the thumbnail, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I remove those little bits that I did not get off with the drill bit. And then I just like to kind of run my hand over the fan to kind of knock some of the excess dust off. I don't really like to brush it because then it ends up in the air. And in order to get the last little bit of the gel polish off, just use a hand file to get those last little bits and pieces off, the thicker areas. And you can do any reshaping or surface fixing, buffing that you need to do with that as well. I hope that this little video was helpful. I know a lot of us resort to doing our nails at home because it's more cost efficient. And to be able to reuse full cover nail tips instead of popping them off and putting on new ones is definitely a big help for me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.